what I want to show you in this video is how to prune cordon trained apple trees. Now you can train apples in lots of different ways, but we've gone for the cordon here. So you can have the normal cordon, which is the vertical one, which is just straight up with little shoots coming off the side, or you can have the oblique cordon, which is at an angle, which is a 45-degree angle, which is what we've gone for here. And the reason you train apple trees is because obviously they look good, they're a feature in the garden, but you can get more trees in a smaller space, and you can also get fruit quicker and get them more productive by leaning them over. The tree's whole aim in life is to grow quicker, bigger and taller than the other trees around it, and to outcompete them for light and nutrients and water, but mainly light. That's why it's going up to the sky quicker than the rest. So what it wants to do is just go upwards, rather than producing fruit at this stage, just go straight up. So, and it has a hormone in the tip of the tree, in that leading shoot, which suppresses the growth of all the other shoots below it, all the other nodes, and it does that to try and get up as quick as possible. So by leaning it over, what you're doing is you're reducing the flow of that hormone spreading back down the tree and stopping those buds breaking, those nodes breaking further down. By leaning it over, it reduces that, so those nodes break quicker, and then you get fruit quicker, and it also reduces the height of the tree. So what you want to do is you want to take off a third of this year's growth that's going up the cane and up the area that you want it to grow. By doing that, it'll cause the other, in spring, the nodes further down to burst and create side shoots, which are going to make fruit in spurs, and that's what the fruit grows on, what it flowers on, and then grows on. It's called spurs. Now most apple trees do form spurs, the spur bearers. Some are tip bearers, so they just produce flowers on the end of the tip of that year's growth, so they're not really suitable for training like this, but there's not many of those. But if you do look them up and it's a spur bearer or a tip bearer, then spurs are what you want for this kind of training. Here you can see the leading stem, which is the bit that I'm going to prune back by a third, because what it does is it then encourages it to produce side shoots when it into spring and summer, once it starts growing again, and those are the bits where it's going to fruit on. So you can see it's already done that as we've been pruning it back over the last couple of years. So this one needs to come back by a third. You can see on this apple tree, which is Beauty of Bath, that it's got these two side shoots that we've let grow probably too long really, and you can see how it wants to grow up and put all that energy into going straight up and beating the other trees up to the light, but we need to take those off because we want the energy to go into producing more side shoots and more spurs, because we want the fruit. But I've left those longer because I want to take them as scion material, they call it, so cuttings, to be able to graft, which I'll hopefully show you in another video once we get onto that. But what I need to do is take these back then, and if you're doing it in summer, what you do is, to establish the spur, is you want about 3 buds from the main branch, and then above there you take it to 1 bud above. So usually they have leaves, and they have a cluster of leaves where they shoot, and they say one for the bit off the side shoot, so the lateral off the side shoot, off this main side shoot, the lateral off there, you want 1 leaf above, so 1 bud above, or 1 node is the proper term, above the above this, what would be the basal cluster there where the leaves are. It's much easier to see in summer, and you tend to do that in August in most areas other than really down south, and so hopefully I'll get on to showing you a video about that at some point. But I'm going to take it back to there anyway now, and I'm going to have all the rest of this stem as scion material to grow new apple trees with. Before you start your pruning then, you want a good pair of secateurs, and ones that have been sharpened. So I've just sharpened these and cleaned them as well, because you don't want to pass any diseases from one plant to another. Particularly canker is a problem in apples. So you can clean it with some alcohol gel, disinfectant wipe, that type of thing, and make it nice and sharp so you get a nice clean cut before you do it. So I'm looking to take a third of this new growth, so you can see where it's older because it's darker, the wood's darker there, and this is lighter. So I'm looking to take about a third of that off. So it's just rough, and you want to take it to a bud that's going to grow the way you want it to grow, not towards the fence, but out or up there. If it goes out a little bit here, we'll be able to train it up easily enough. You can see here we've got a stem that's going through the fence, so that's a bit of a problem, and I'm not going to be able to turn that into a side shoot really in a spur that's going to fruit, because the fruit's going to be up against the fence or out of the fence, so that one's going to need to come off. And if you look closely in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off as close as I can to the main stem there, but leave, you see that line there, I'm going to cut just above that line, because that will give it a chance to heal over and then no infection or disease hopefully will get in. Whereas if I cut it straight across here, if I were to cut it down there right up to the stem, that's going to leave a big wound that's not potentially going to heal, or if it is going to heal, it's going to heal slowly and leave a big gap for disease and stuff to get into. So I'm going to cut it off there and take that off completely, because I don't want it growing out that way. Once you've pruned the trees, what you want to do is tie them back into the canes and all the supports that you're training them up. And it's always a good opportunity as well to check the existing ties to make sure that they're alright. So rather than using string like this, this like synthetic string can cut into and rub and cut into the bark eventually, and that'll make a wound where for potential infection. Also, if you use like natural twine, it doesn't last that long, maybe about 12 months, so it easily snaps off, and plus under the strain of these growing trees. So the best thing I've found, which was recommended to me by the Northern Fruit Group, is old pairs of tights. So you cut old pairs of tights into strips, and because they're stretchy, they don't press or rub against the stem. So as the stem expands and grows, it'll push out against it, and it has some elasticity into it, which makes a massive difference. What you want to be aiming to do is, if you can see on this one, is that you have a bit of a gap that has room for expansion and room for the stem to move about in the wind. You don't want it fixed firmly tight there like that, because it's going to grow, it's going to get thicker, and by it moving about a bit in the wind, it's also going to get stronger. So you want a bit of a gap there, so you want it pulled in so you get in the shape of the training, but just a bit of a gap for expansion.